75 days ago, I started a short form series where I post daily educational video about editing and videography. And while I've been editing videos for multiple years, the last 2 months really forced me to optimize my workflow so I can edit efficiently but still have a good high quality video at the end of every day. And in this 2-hour guide you can follow along as we edit the 70th video of the series. We will literally start at 0% and import the footage and then go through the entire video and even do some more advanced stuff like some motion graphics in Fusion. So you can gain some technical knowledge about Davinci Resolve as a video editing software, but also see how I develop ideas for graphics and understand the idea behind the edit. And yes, this definitely is a long video, but you can watch it on double time speed, and I will also add timestamps so you can find the different parts of the editing process directly. And I don't have anything to sell you, but if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and if you have any feedback or questions, let me know down in the comments. But now let's get started. So let's jump straight into Resolve and get this edit done. So we will start with the import of the footage. The easiest way to do this is, if you already have your footage in a folder, to go to the cut page, and then you can go to your folder where you want to import the entire folder with your footage, and then click this icon. And here you can then go into your folders, and if you have found the folder, for me it's this one right here, the number 70, layers versus node based, you can just select it and click open, and it will import the footage here together with the entire folder. So in my case I have for every video a folder, and in these folders I have all the footage I need for the edit. So that's it for the import. Then let's create a new timeline. Here I don't have anything special. I just have this preset as my project settings. It's a 1080p timeline, vertical resolution, and yeah, nothing special. I always record in 4K, but then I edit it on a full HD timeline because it works good. It's smooth playback, and for short form stuff the quality isn't as important as people like to say. So let's name this 70 node based versus layer based. And yeah, let's get started. First let's switch to the single viewer, and for the footage I have already prepared some B-rolls. So I have some screenshot of complex timelines that are not mine, but I've just downloaded them from the internet. Then I have some B-roll clips I want to use later, and of course the footage that I recorded. So the main footage is just me sitting in front of the camera. And yeah, why is it chopped up into so many parts? It's because my camera turned off while I was recording, so I have to put together these different parts. So before we edit anything, let's quickly turn the log footage into some actual nice looking footage. For this, the workflow again is pretty simple because I record 7 videos at once, so the color grade is the same for 7 days. In here I have my main clip, which we will create later for this video. So let's open it in the timeline, and nice face by the way. Let's go to the color page, and then here you can just select this clip, press Command C to copy the whole thing, then go back to this timeline, again go to the color page and press Command V, and it will paste the entire grade. So let's do this for all the clips. And what we're going to do next is select all of them, right click and press normalize audio levels. In here I usually choose YouTube. Usually it's already on YouTube, but for whatever reason it now changed. Then independent and normalize. And now the audio levels are already done for social media. So what I'm going to do now is select all of them and create a new compound clip. I have a shortcut for this. I'm just going to name it main. So I can cut this and chop it up, And if I want to, let's say, change something with the colors or the audio, I just can open it in the timeline, change it in here, and don't have to correct the different parts. So yeah, let's just go through the entire video and find all the good parts that we will need. Yeah, and I watch it on double speed. You can use the L key on your keyboard to watch it in double time, or even if you press it again, you will see that it's 4 times as fast, so you can save some time with this.
If you're seeing this in the YouTube video, subscribe, comment, like right now.
Yeah, you heard him. I already planned to make the tutorial of this. So
if you're seeing this in the YouTube video, subscribe, comment, like right now.
Yes, you know what to do. So here we are, everything chopped up, roughly a minute. And what I've done for this video is that I have also recorded some extra stuff here for the intro, because yeah, I'm experimenting with this a little bit. So
I used to think node-based editing. I used to think node-based.
So I shot this handheld stuff because I thought maybe it makes the whole thing a bit more dynamic.
I used to think node-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much more organized it made my entire workflow.
So let's take this one.
And
then I will just what looks better and which one I'm gonna use. Then what is this?
More organized it made my entire workflow. Until I realized how much more.
Yeah, then here I did this.
Realized how much more
transition, but I think it looks kind of
weird
I realized with the mic here. So yeah, let's try this one. If we want to replace the beginning with this one, and if yes, we will take it, and else we'll leave it as it is. So let's quickly add a grade here. And here I just use conversion lots from the guys over at TMS Productions. And yeah, you just click it and then it converts the S-Log3, which I'm shooting on, to Rec 709. So yeah, nothing crazy.
I used to think until I.
So this would be the same part here. Let's quickly disable this.
I used to think node-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much more organized it made my entire workflow.
Not so sure.
Until I realized how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow. Realized how much more organized it made my entire.
I don't think it looks that nice, because
I used to think
it's also pretty shaky. So of course I've got the notes here, but I will probably just add B-roll and something else instead to make it a bit more interesting than just a talking head. So yeah, let's delete this. I mean, sometimes you just have to try things out, and if you don't need the footage in the edit, it's okay, but it's better to shoot it, and if you need it, you have it, then not shoot it and then you're missing something in the edit. So now I will just go through it once again and just make sure that the cuts here are really smooth, because here you can see
Hollywood magicians.
The gap is kind of too long. So let's cut it like this.
Until I realized Hollywood magicians. Until I realized how much.
Now it's a bit too short. You can't really hear the magicians. Let's make it like this.
Hollywood magicians. Until I realized.
Yeah. Sometimes I also cut off like the last little bit of a word, because I just take too much time to say the word, and then for me it's more important to just have the pace of the video than have the last S or T or something at the end of the video. So yeah, let's do this for all of the gaps. And you can read most of this already in the waveform, so you can see that here we might have to cut away some things, but here or here it's already very close, so it's already kind of visible from a distance.
Editing school. Notes can look super scary at first, but scary at first, but really they can make your editing life so much easier.
And if you're wondering how I navigate in the timeline, I have set up the Y and the X key on my keyboard
We're adding
to
effects.
zoom out or zoom in on the timeline, so I can do this super quickly. And then I use like my second mouse wheel to scroll from left to right or horizontally. So these two things together are a game changer, and it's like the number one thing to actually edit fast, to be quick when you're navigating in your timeline. And most of this is just like small details, but it can make the difference because the whole video will just feel, yeah, better, and the pace will stay more consistent. So this looks quite boring, but I think it's more important than you might think. All right, so 1 minute, that's pretty decent. And I will also turn on this, how do you say, loop feature, so
You prefer it. I used to think
then I can instantly see what it's going to be on the socials when it's uploaded, because it will play again. So what we're going to do now, the next step is add b-rolls, or basically just put together the rough structure of the video. And what I'm paying attention to here is that the first 5 or let's say 10 seconds need the most editing compared to everything else, because here you want to have some cool visual things and just not only have a hook in your script, but also like a visual hook, so that it's interesting later on in the video. Sorry, I don't put as much effort into like b-rolls and graphics, because there I just think if the people watch until here, the dedication is like there, and they're more likely to finish the videos anyway if, yeah, if it's not over edited and super attention grabbing. So let's watch the start and find the hook which we can design.
I used to think node-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow.
So here I have the part with the Hollywood magicians and node-based things. So I have prepared these screenshots here, which we will import. This is just a screenshot of an effect I did a couple of days ago for a video. And yeah, you can see the node tree is like not super complicated, but it looks quite complex. And that's what we want. Then I also talk about the
Editing was just for Hollywood magicians.
Hollywood magicians, and I've downloaded some videos for this. Usually I do this during the edit, but I just don't want to waste your time with watching YouTube together and finding clips, and also I don't want to leak my entire computer. So I've downloaded this making of Oppenheimer because I found some decent scenes in it. So let's drag it into the timeline and just basically look for something that has an element like this IMAX camera that will remind people of Hollywood. So let's take this clip right here and just put it to the beginning. Then in here we don't have a lot of crazy stuff, or yeah, crazy stuff, but nothing that instantly reminds you of Hollywood. So I will actually also just make it a bit smaller. Then this could also work. Oh no, I want the entire timeline like this. So this shot will also work. And like, I'm not gonna use all of the shots, but it's just good to have a selection where I can choose from later on. Like this. And maybe here we will also find some more stuff. Maybe this shot because you can see the mic, or like the mic boom arm, if you call it like that, because that is like an instant sign for, or instantly reminds me of a professional film set. So let's also, oh, where did it go? Let's also put it over here. And this one maybe also, because this clap thing also is very film set like. So let's also add it here. And the only thing that, ooh, wait, here we have some actual editing footage. But this is like the audio producer, so not really useful for us. The only thing that we might find is footage of like cameras and the actor, like Cillian Murphy, where he's clearly visible, because a lot of people know him, and that will also like capture their attention. So yeah, but not really. So yeah, let's work with with the clips that we have here. So here, this first couple of seconds, what I usually do is I like add a zoom and text, but we will do this later. And then the next part,
I used to think
note-based. Here I will somehow show the note stuff. So some kind of pop-up animation, then
note-based editing was just for
and then Hollywood magicians. Now we can actually use this shot because you can see the fancy camera, you can see the actor Cillian Murphy,
magicians.
and then I say until I realized
how much faster.
Here we might actually just also use more footage of this, because I mean it looks kind of crazy and it's not really related to the video, but as long as the people keep watching because of the fancy IMAX camera, I will use it.
This is day 7.
Or maybe also this shot. So we will have some movie clip here.
Till I realized how much faster.
And then how much faster it made my entire workflow. Here I will just use some footage of me where I'm editing. Yeah, I also have that somewhere. I think in here. I've used it for the video yesterday. So this is yesterday's video, and yeah, you can see here, this is some footage of me actually editing, which I just shot a time lapse, but I don't want to use this again in the first couple of seconds, so I somewhere have another clip, this one, where I'm also editing. Yeah, I've used this clip a couple of times in the last videos, but who cares? I will just reuse it again, because why not? So
made my how much faster and organized it made my.
Or maybe I can actually use a mix of
Realized how much
of this
faster
and the other one. So I'll just jump back in here to the other video, and I have this sitting at desk clip somewhere in this folder from yesterday's video. So let's open the timeline of today's video, and grab this clip, which is like an hour long, crazy long time lapse. It was like 70 gigabytes. But we could actually just speed it up like this.
No, you're
Like 1,000,000%, or what is this? 120,000%.
until I realized how much
And put it here.
faster and organized it made my work.
Yeah, actually, let's just use it like this, because here I'm also like editing some notes and I don't have another option. So sometimes you just have to work with what you have. So this is like the basic structure for the first couple of seconds. And what I'm actually also gonna add is the standard intro animation I have. So I always go to the last video, just copy all of this stuff. This is the animation, the zoom, which matches like the movement, and the sound effects for the animation. I just copy it, go in here, and then paste it and reposition it. So let's put it like this.
Oh, this is.
You can see this is the zoom, the adjustment clip, and this is the animation. And also let's quickly edit this in the Fusion page. So this is all done inside of Fusion. Yeah, it looks quite confusing because it's not really organized, but the only thing I have to adjust is this text3 node, where I just type in the new number, and there you go. New animation
70 of the 100
done. Super easy. And because it's a new intro, it's a bit shorter, so it's not welcome back to, but it's just this is day 70. So I will also have to make this a bit shorter.
school. Notes can look. This is day 70 of the one. This is day.
And the day 70 also needs to be revealed sooner. Maybe like this.
Oh, this is day 70 of the one.
Yeah, like this. Let's extend it again. Add this filmer transition and
Cool. Notes can look super scary at first, but really, I used to think note-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow. This is day 70 of the 100-day editing school. Notes can look super.
Yeah, and from here on, like after 11 seconds, we start with the actual video. This is just hook crazy editing, or like more time-consuming editing that looks nicer to keep the viewers watching, then the intro, and then we start. So
I used to think note-based.
Here I will add my standard background, which I have in a power bin somewhere, which is not showing up for whatever reason. Show power bins here. And then in my master bin I have this 100-day editing school, and then this background that I just downloaded somewhere once, which I quite like and use way too often. So let's just add it for the entire duration.
Think note-based
and
magicians until
in here we will put all of this in a fusion composition.
Magicians until I
or let's put it like this, so that we have a cool animation in the first seconds.
Editing was just for Hollywood magicians.
Like this.
Note-based editing was just for.
Let's make this a bit smaller. And once we have like this
Hollywood
super rough structure with the more or less with the clips, as long as we more or less need them, let's highlight all of them, click right. But before we do that, let's jump into, or let's click here. So it will create a Fusion clip in this folder. So let's right click and create new Fusion clip. and then switch to the Fusion page and make a cool little animation here. So something that is quite annoying in Davinci is that you cannot really always hear the sound in the Fusion page. So right now it works pretty well, but there might be some delay or lagging if you have more complex effects. But let's not complain, but actually make an animation. So I will start by deleting the background, because the background we will use is that texture thing. And also let's delete this merge node. And now let's find out which one is the background. We can just open it in node-based editing and see that this is the background. So let's drag it to here and rename it background. And also disconnect the merge node, add it in here, and then connect the background. And now it's connected as a foreground. So let's press Command T to switch the order. Now this is the background, and let's connect this one back here. If we now click here, you can see everything again. And now here let's also quickly identify which media is what. And this is the node 3, and then this has to be the Hollywood clip. All right, so here we go. So what I'm gonna do first is add a rectangle to this node 3, just to have a bit of a nicer shape, because right now it's just the screenshot which is rectangular. But what I want to do is have rounded corners, so I will adjust the rectangle so that it fits the screenshot, and then just increase the corner radius to 0.15. I usually use this value, but yeah, you can increase it or decrease it however you want. So like this, we have a round shape. Then the Hollywood clip will only appear later, because in the Fusion clip it's already, or in here it's, as you can see, just starting more or less at the middle of the clip. So the same thing will occur in the Fusion page. So what I'm thinking of right now is that I create some kind of animation where this picture is revealed, and then I create a text animation which says node-based editing. And after that we will have a switch to the Hollywood clip, and in the end it will be full screen, and then we switch to this clip, which is also going to be full screen like this,
till I realized how,
and then we will see how we will continue here. So let's start with this animation.
Node-based editing.
Let's fit this to the screen like this, and add a transform node to have it a bit higher up. And an animation I want to achieve is a very simple one, just a fly up and blend in animation. So we will go to the first frame, create a keyframe for the center value, and go like a couple of frames forward, and come on, let's increase it here then. Just drag it up a bit, so maybe not as much, like this, so that I have enough space to place the text, and also not be too close to the top of the video. Then let's quickly play it back.
Node-based editing.
Yeah, this is good. Then actually pretty weird thing in the Fusion page is that you don't have a opacity slider, but you can add a brightness and contrast node and just enable the alpha, and then use the gain as basically an opacity slider. So let's go to the beginning, add a keyframe at 0, and go to the point where we had our fly up keyframe and increase it to 1. So
Node-based editing was just
this is what we've got. And I'm actually gonna edit this quickly in the spline editor to make it a bit smoother. The brightness and contrast is not as important, but the transform node. So I will select all of them, press F, and just flatten out the curves a bit. And also enable motion blur and increase the quality all the way to 10.
Node-based editing
already looks way better. But because it's not visible in the beginning, I don't want it to start slow and kind of has this bump in the middle. I will just make it like this, so it already starts fast and just gets slower towards the end, or slows down towards the end.
Node-based editing was...
Yeah. You see?
Node-based editing was...
And then it's also enabled the brightness and contrast, or the opacity quickly. And if you want to like drag these points to one side without like changing the value, but just the timing, you can hold down the option key on your keyboard, and if you select it, then it will only adjust it in the direction which you're dragging and not in all directions. So let's quickly also flatten these out, even though you will probably not really see the difference. But
node-based editing was...
Yeah, it's just for my brain that thinks it has to be smooth. So
node-based editing was...
Looks decent.
Node-based editing was...
Yeah, looks good. So
node-based editing... Node-based edit...
Yeah, but actually let's move it a little bit forward. So all of the keyframes, hold down option and drag it a bit forward.
Node-based editing was...
And here when I say node-based editing, I will now create this a text animation. All right. To do this, we will add another merge node here. Also, one thing that is not enabled right now is the line up all tools to grid like this, so you have a better order. And then also make sure to have arrange tools to grid enabled, so it snaps like to the grid. Most of these settings are usually turned on, but because I like changed some things on my monitor and whatever for the screen recording, because it's not the same aspect ratio that I usually use. So yeah, usually I don't have to turn on all these settings again, but somehow it reset them. Yeah.
Node-based editing.
So we will add a merge node after this one. Oh, help me, like this. Then add a text node, connect it, type in node, select my classic font, clash display, increase the size, and yeah, let's do the same thing for the other words. So let's just copy this. Wait, actually no. Let's first animate this one and then copy paste it, so we only have to do it once. So what I want to do is have this letter by letter fly up and blend in animation. And to get this, I will add I will right click this text window, add a follower modifier, and here in the modifiers I can now keyframe the, where is it, in the shading, the opacity. So we will go a couple of frames back, create a keyframe for the opacity with a value of 0, go a few frames forward and increase it to 1. And right now it just looks like a normal blend, but if you go here into this timing section and increase the delay to, let's say, 1, you can see that the letters are being revealed one by one. And if we do the same thing now for the position, they will fly up and be revealed in a very smooth animation. So let's go to transform and create a keyframe for the offset. This will create this path, but don't worry about this. Just go back to the follower and create a keyframe here as well. Then go back and decrease the Y value, and you can see down here, I don't know why it's down here, but it's just this, how far it's being dragged down. So if we play it back, you can see that all of the letters are flying up and are being revealed at the same time. So
node-based editing
looks pretty good. Let's also quickly enable motion blur for this and hop into the spline editor and make the curves flat. So
node-based edit.
Yeah, it's not as fast as it should be. So let's select this one and make it a bit faster.
Node-based.
Yeah, like this.
Node-based editing was
No, it's a bit too fast. Like this.
Node-based.
Let's start the whole thing a bit sooner.
Node-based.
Yeah, looks pretty decent. So now let's copy paste all of these nodes and connect it here. And let's change the text to node based, so that it says based. Let's drag it a bit down. Here you want to do it in the normal how do I say, transform, whatever. So let's copy paste all of these nodes, connect the merge node again, like this, and then let's replace the text here with based, so that we can make the node based, blah blah blah. And what we're gonna do now is just select this text and drag it down so that it's below the node. And because we want to have a little bit of delay for the second word, we'll go into the spline editor, select the text 1_1 and select all keyframes and drag it to the right, like this.
Node-based editing. Node-based editing was node-based editing.
Maybe a bit sooner, like this.
Node-based editing.
Yeah, like this. Node-based editing. So let's copy it once again and again add it in here, and let's put editing here, drag it down and select text 1_1_1. The names are pretty crazy, but it is what it is. Select both keyframes, drag it to the right,
node-based edit
and
node-based editing was just node-based editing was just node-based editing was just node-based editing was just
yeah, like this.
Node-based editing was just
looks decent. And later we will of course add subtitles, so this
node-based editing was
this
just
node-based editing text is only needed.
Editing was just
it's just needed until here, where before I say was just for Hollywood magicians. So So let's animate this. So let's create the fade out animation so that they are not visible after they are not needed anymore. Okay, and now I will have to take a break because I have a call, but I'll see you in the second part. Alright, so as you can see, new setup. It's 3 hours later. I usually don't edit my videos from start to end at once. So yeah, quick break, but let's continue. So we were left with this text that we want to fade out. And what we're going to do is just do the same thing that we did for the fade in. So I will go to the text and then keyframe the opacity on the follower here. So let's do it like this, go a couple frames forward and decrease it so.
Based editing.
This. And is it the right one? No, it's not. Let's go to this one and just select opacity. So
editing was just.
Oh no, it's still the wrong one. This one here. This is what we need here. So let's drag it a bit to the right so that it's a bit more delayed. And let's do the same thing for the position. So keyframe, go a couple frames forward and drag it up like this so that it looks like.
Node-based editing was just.
Oh, it's actually barely visible because it's way too late. So let's grab these two and drag them over here. Let's make them a bit smoother. So it's like more to the right.
Editing was just
like this. Maybe let's drag it even a little bit more down here so it's not going up as much.
Editing was.
Yeah. And node-based editing. Let's go to the based. Keyframe the same thing.
Editing was just. Node-based editing was just for.
And let's do the same thing for the editing. Then we will smooth out both of these again. This keyframe, decrease it, transform keyframe. Let's go back to this one and create another keyframe and let's increase it like this.
Node-based
node-based editing was just. And let's quickly check here with the timing.
Node-based editing was just.
Actually, you can also see here the preview, so it will like
Node-based
pre-render everything from the Fusion page.
Node-based editing.
And if it's blue, it's rendered, and if it's red, it will
just
be stuttering. So you will have to turn this on, and if it's turned on, you can even preview complex effects, but it will take some time to pre-render.
Node-based editing was just. Node-based editing was. Node-based editing was.
Looks pretty good. So let's go back to these and just make them a bit smoother, but then that's enough for the text animation. All right, and same for this one.
Node-based editing was. Editing was. was just for Hollywood editing was just for was
all right. And what we're gonna do now is make a transition to the Oppenheimer clip. So what I'm thinking about is sliding this picture to the left and having the Hollywood clip or the clip from Oppenheimer coming from the right, and then create a zoom in so that it becomes full screen. Or we could slide the entire thing to the left and just replace it with the Hollywood clip. Yeah, let's actually do the second one. That sounds nicer. So let's delete this merge node and connect it here like this. And what we're gonna do now is add a transform node. Just checking if my screen is still recording, because I don't want to do this all over. So let's add a transform node, and probably like here add a keyframe for the position, go a couple frames forward and slide everything to the right. Oh wait, actually we want to keep the background, so we will connect this before the background, so the background will not be moved around if we add the transform node. So let's do it like this and add the transform node here. Then let's create the keyframe here, go a couple frames forward, move it to the left like this, and then we're gonna first add a rectangle to this one so that we also have the round corners first. Increase the size and again add 0.15. And then let's add also a transform node. Make it a bit smaller. And let's have it coming from the left here. So let's make a keyframe for the position. Then once that is gone, we want it to be in the center. And as you can see now, it's
node-based editing.
It's not visible here, but to fix that, we are not going to open it in the Fusion page, but open it in the timeline, and then in here we can just extend the clip so that it starts earlier. And if we check it now,
editing was just,
you can see that it's already better, but let's not here but here, let's have it come in a little bit earlier. How long is this clip? Can we extend it even more? Not really. Yeah, like 1 frame. Okay, let's take this 1 frame. It's better than nothing. So let's go back to the Fusion page, and it's coming in here, and then we want to scale it up. So let's create the keyframe for the size, increase it to 1, and also with the same keyframes we're going to keyframe the corner radius so that the rectangle does not have smooth corners anymore once it's full screen. So we get this nice zoom animation where we go from here to fully filling the screen. Alright, so let's quickly enable motion blur for all of the transform nodes, because that's like the #1 thing to have. Yeah, smooth animations. And then we will hop into the spline editor And which transform nodes are these? The two. So let's keep this. The rectangle we will need later, and the transform 3. So let's first just flatten out these. And as you can see, it's still a bit fast, so let's grab this one and make it a bit smoother to both sides. Oh, come on. So let's see this one first.
Editing was...
Wait, let's actually turn off the motion blur again, because
editing
then it will preview it nicer. Yeah, without the motion blur, it's like easier to render, so you can preview it. But for the final animations, always use motion blur because it just looks crispier.
Editing was just for...
All right, that looks pretty decent. The second one is still a bit fast, so let's make this one also a bit smoother. Like this. Let's disable this one. Ah, wrong point. Come on. What is this? Don't need this. All right, like this. Sometimes it's a bit fiddly moving around the keyframes, but
just for...
Okay, and now the size, as you can see, this was the size, so let's disable this and move the size to the left so that it first comes in and then only later zooms in. So let's also make this one a bit smoother.
Node-based editing was just for...
Okay, and now it should start a bit earlier. So let's drag it over here. Yeah, let's play it back. Let's actually play it back here so we have the full smooth
editing was just for Hollywood magic. Editing was just for Hollywood. Editing was just for Hollywood. Was just for Hollywood. Was just for Hollywood magic. Was just for Hollywood.
No, it's actually a bit too slow or too smooth right now. Let's make it a bit faster by dragging this to the left. And then we get a nice smooth animation. And you can also start to zoom in a bit earlier so that there's not really a gap between the slide and the zoom, like this. And the last little detail is going to be to smooth out the corner radius. Yeah, why am I pointing at the screen? You can't see it, but here you see the corners.
Just for Hollywood magic.
They are also being like morphed. So yeah, looks decent.
Node-based editing was just for... Editing was just for... Editing was just for... Editing was just for Hollywood. Editing was just for Hollywood. Editing was just for Hollywood magician. Editing was just for Hollywood. Editing was just for Hollywood. Editing was just for Hollywood magicians. Until I realized how much faster.
Right. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the starting animation. Let's turn the motion blur back on. Oh, here I actually forgot to turn it off. That's why it was so stuttery. So
until I realized.
Let's continue here.
Until I realized how much.
Until I realized how much. Come on, give me a couple more frames like this.
Until I realized how. Realized how much.
Then we can speed this up a bit more.
Until I realized how much faster and
Actually, let's see how it looks if I make this full screen. No, it looks terrible. Let's not do it. So I might actually just reuse the frames I created in the last video. Right here, you see. I will probably, yeah, just reuse it. Not ideal, but I shot it horizontally, and like this, it looks.
How much faster?
It looks alright. And if you wonder what this is just an adjustment clip that I, like, modified with a rectangle. And if you want to know how to do this like in detail, I also made a video on the short forms about it, so you can look for that.
How much faster and organized the entire workflow. This is day 70 of the workflow. This is day 7.
Alright, so I think that's basically it. I will later add here the text, but let's first finish the entire video and add all the B-rolls we need.
Notes can look super scary and
Here I want to add the note tree again. Yeah, let's add this one because
super scary.
We didn't use it before. No, it's actually not so complex, so let's use the other one. It needs to be intimidating.
Looks super.
Yeah, this looks a bit more terrifying. You see, I'm just reusing a lot of stuff. It's like, just work with what you have and don't waste too much time on like random things, because right now it might seem like it's stupid to reuse the note tree again, but to be honest, who will notice? Nobody.
Super scary at first, but
then let's just keyframe it so we have this little slide animation.
Super scary at first. Super scary at first. Looks super scary at first, but really they can make your editing life.
I think we don't need these clips anymore. Let's just put them here. If we maybe need them later, but for now we're good.
Really, they can make your editing life so much easier. Think about it when you're editing layers.
Okay, here I will just add text. This is maybe a lot of empty space, but yeah, I don't know what I should put there right now. So let's continue here. And generally, if you don't know what to put somewhere, you can always just add text and maybe add a little graphic that is not even very similar to, or doesn't really fit what you're doing. As long as you have something, it's better than nothing. So yeah, that's just a general rule.
Layers, when you're editing, think about it
when you're editing layer, that's what I'm saying here. So I've got this crazy
you're editing
crazy timeline, which is not actually from me, but I mean it looks what it looks like, terrifying. So yeah, let's do the same thing we did for the note tree here with this timeline. I also have this one from Premiere and this one from After Effects, but let's use this one. This looks way more dangerous. All right, so let's position it like this and create a key.
You're editing, layers pile up. You're adding.
And let's cut it here and move it a bit to the right. Maybe not all the way, but a bit.
You're editing, layers pile up. You're adding effects. You're editing, layers pile up. You're adding effects, texts.
And here we have.
You're adding effects, texts, graphics. It becomes a huge stack. And
So here we need to somehow visualize the effects and graphics. The easiest way would be to just maybe show another timeline. But
adding effects, you're adding effects.
Let's do a little animation where we stack like the words on each other. So first we have the word text, and then the word graphics and effects, and then it kind of becomes a mess with all the words. You'll see what I mean later. Usually I don't have to explain this and just have it present in my brain, but today it's a bit different.
You're adding effects, text, graphics. It becomes a huge stack. And
so let's open this one in the Fusion page again. So let's go back to this folder. And what we're going to do now is add a multi-merge and add some text. So
we're adding effect.
The first word is effect. So let's switch it back to my standard font.
Effects, text.
And what I want to do is like have effects and then the next word and always add another word so it stacks up, and then in the end it's a mess. So let's create this.
You're adding effects. You're adding effects.
Effects. Let's put this one here. I'm not really sure if this is going to look as good as I imagine it to be, but we will see. Effects.
Effects, text.
Let's duplicate it. Text. Text.
Text, graphic.
Let's paste it once more, like this. And let's put graphics here. And
you're adding effects, text, graphics.
And now we need to somehow make this look a bit more stacked. So
you're adding effects, text, graphics.
So I want to first have effects, texts, then we put the graphics on top, and then within a couple of seconds we stack everything. So let's first animate the effect.
You're adding effect.
For this we can now we can actually not use the level thing which you have on polygons. We have to again add the brightness and contrast node and just keyframe it so it like pops up. Wait, no, I'm actually stupid. We can use the write on feature, which is way easier.
You're adding effect.
Like this. Keyframe at 0, 1 frame forward, and then everything is revealed.
You're adding effects.
Effects.
Effects, text.
Then for the texts, we do the same thing. Keyframe 0, 1 frame forward, and then reveal the full thing.
Effects, text, graph. Effects, text, graph.
And then graphics. Keyframe 0, 1 forward, and then we have this.
You're adding effects, text, graphic.
And maybe we can also make them a different color before we continue with the animation. So let's make the text green and the graphics maybe blue, a bit brighter. This light blue. So
you're adding effects, text, graphics.
And now we just spam the entire screen. But what I want to keep in mind later is that the subtitles will be around here. So maybe we will leave this space empty so that you can still read the subtitles. But now let's just copy paste this, connect it, and then just reposition it. Do the same thing for this one, like this. Copy paste it. Or let's put it like this, and then add the graphics also on top, so that it's not too similar always, or not identical, like this. So we want them to like fill the entire screen, and I'm actually just thinking about leaving them like this, so that they pop up at the same time, because then we can fill the screen pretty quickly. So I'm just gonna copy paste it again, move it over here, or here, because the subtitles will probably be there. Copy paste this one, move it here, copy paste this one, and move it over here. And
you're adding effects, texts, graphics.
Yeah, let's do it one more time. Now let's first add the graphics. And then one more text. Like this, and then one last layer. So an effect and another graphics. No, like this. All right, you go up here.
You're adding effects, texts, graphics. Effects, texts, graphics. It becomes a huge.
And what I'm thinking now is we can add a, like, desaturate it, make it like black and white, similar to the like GTA or Game Over screen.
Texts, graphics.
And then we like blur it and put the text where it says huge stack.
Texts, graphics.
So let's add a contrast saturation.
It's graphics.
And then let's keyframe the saturation to 0, like this. And let's also add a Gaussian blur that we keyframe the same way. Start at 0, and then
it becomes.
It's actually a bit fast. So let's extend it a bit. The same goes for the blur, like this, and let's only make it 0.3.
Graphics, it becomes a huge stack. Graphics, it becomes a huge stack.
Yeah, this looks good. And then we add a merge node again, together with a text node. And we type in huge stack, change the font, increase the size, and what we're also going to do now is add a backdrop, which can make a bit softer. Or no, let's actually also add a normal drop shadow. so that it's being separated a bit from the background.
Text graphics, it becomes a huge
keyframe.
Huge stack.
And then, oh no, it's actually should only be until huge. And then around here, we increase it to stack. So let's see what this looks like.
You're adding effects, texts, graphics, it becomes a huge stack. And finding text, it becomes a huge stack.
Yeah, looks decent. Let's make it a bit closer and
becomes a huge stack.
What I'm also gonna add is a little camera shake.
You're adding effects.
Not as much as here. This is way too much. I will decrease these two, also decrease the speed.
Huge stack.
And the overall strength.
You're adding effect. Becomes a huge stack.
And the rotation.
Graphics, it becomes a huge stack.
See, it just gives a little bit of extra movement.
Becomes a huge stack.
Which makes it look a bit nicer.
And finding the right layer to you're adding effects, texts, graphics, it becomes a huge stack. You're adding effects, texts, graphics, it becomes a huge stack. And finding the right layer to change something is a finding the right layer to change something is a pain.
Here we're probably gonna add this image of the After Effects layers.
The right layer to change something
and cut it at ease.
Something is a pain. But note.
And I'm gonna add a dynamic zoom. Oh no, that's not gonna work. But I will increase the size and create a bit of a scroll animation. So let's go over here and scroll down.
And finding the right layer to change something is a pain. But nodes are different. You have to think of them like nodes are different.
Here I want to put text, like bold text, that nodes are different to emphasize it.
You have to think of them like a recipe. Each node is just one recipe.
And here we actually have a little gap left, which I forgot.
Like a recipe. Each node like a.
And here now we are getting to the fun part. I downloaded this Ratatouille clip because that's like the first thing that came to my mind when I thought about the recipe. So let's add some Ratatouille. I mean, there's not really a scene where he's like cooking something or looking at the recipe, or at least I didn't find it, but there has to be some part that like fits the image, or not the image. I'm just talking without thinking the script. So yeah, this one. This looks awesome. Let's cut right here. This like parallax. And we will keep this for later. Maybe we will add some more Ratatouille.
But nodes are different. You have to think of them like a recipe. Each node is just one step, like weighing flour. Recipe.
Yeah. You see, it's kind of random to add Ratatouille into an editing tutorial, but
recipe. Each node is just,
as long as it makes the video more interesting to watch, it's okay.
Recipe. Each.
And I will also just add keyframes so that he stays in the middle, like this. Let's see what this looks like.
Recipe. Each node is just.
Let's add the first keyframe here, like this. delete this one.
Recipe. Each node is just one.
Now it's kind of not really smooth, so we will quickly edit it and create a fade in.
Each node is just one step, like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them together and you can see exactly what's happening to your video. You can connect, like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them.
Alright, here
like weighing
I'm
flour, adding salt, or baking.
Talking about this recipe, and I know it's another graphic, but I will create this little recipe animation here. So let's grab our background once again here, and
you can connect them together and you can see exactly what's happening to your video step by step.
So first we will create like a recipe where we have a rectangle and then a list of different things that are going to happen, and then I will animate a little node scheme animation where we have like node 1, then it creates a connection to the second node, then to the third node, and then we put numbers into these nodes. So
like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking step. And this really makes
let's go into Fusion and start animation. So the base for this first part of the animation is of course going to be a rectangle. So let's first add a background and then add a rectangle, and the background needs to be or the rectangle needs to be connected to the background, and we will change the background color to white. So on the rectangle we will disable solid, increase the border width a bit, and also change the corner radius. And let's see, I think it's a bit too high. Let's put it, make it like this. Yeah. And this here is again the background, so that's what we always want to see. That's why I'm going to actually connect it here, because then we can do everything before, and I will add more stuff here, but we will not accidentally like animate the background. So this is the base rectangle, and we will combine this with some text. So the first thing I'm talking about is
or weighing flour.
So I will just add a text which says, or no, we will actually do this on the multi-merge so we can connect everything right away. We will add step 1, flour. Let's change the font, increase the size, and position it, or no, let's move it up here. Then let's duplicate it, or no, wait.
Weighing flour, adding.
We will wait with duplicating it, because we will again create this little fly up
like
animation.
Weighing flour.
Yeah, I should probably make a preset for this, because I've started to use it quite often lately. So I will create a preset at some point and also publish it. So let's go back to the shading, create a keyframe for the opacity, and decrease it, change the timing to 1. What does it look like?
Weighing flour, adding salt, or baking.
Yeah, looks good. Let's do the same thing again for the position. Where is it? Here. Got the keyframe, create another one. Just drag it down a bit. Yeah.
Flour, adding.
Oh, that's a bit too much. Let's get it up again a bit.
Flower adding flower adding flower adding
yeah. Then let's quickly make it smooth as always. Highlight, press F. That's it.
Flower adding
Easy. Then close the spline editor, and now let's duplicate this text. What's the second thing?
Adding salt.
Salt. So let's make number 2 salt. Drag it down a bit and to the left, so it's like lined up the same way as the flower. And then step 3 is going to be bake. Like this. Yeah, let's position this a bit nicer. Is it in the middle? Not fully, but it's alright. So what we're gonna do now is
like weighing flower.
First animate the rectangle. So we will just use the length slider to make it come up, and I will also change the position so where should it start? Does this look good? Let's have it start at the top in the middle. So let's create a keyframe for 0, then let's go like 10 frames forward and increase it to 1.
Like weighing flower.
Yeah, that's way too fast. Let's do the 30. Increase it to 1.
Like weighing flour, adding salt.
Yeah, like this. And then we will select the rectangle and also smoothen this out a bit. No, we don't need the text.
Like weighing flour.
Especially the ending needs to be
Flour, adding salt or
super smooth.
Like weighing flour, adding.
And then we will also change the timing of the different texts. So the first one is good, the second one needs to be delayed a bit. So have it like flour,
adding
salt. Then the third one needs to be delayed even a bit more.
Flour, adding salt or
even more.
Adding salt or baking the cake.
Yeah.
Like weighing flour, adding weighing flour, like weighing flour.
Actually, the animation of the rectangle at the beginning should not start as slowly. So let's make it a bit.
Like weighing flour.
Yeah, make it a bit faster right away.
Like weighing flour.
You can still make it smoother.
Like weighing flour, adding salt or baking the cake.
Yeah, looks decent. And what I'm gonna do now is close the spline editor, go to the rectangle, and you can see that even though the length is 0, this little white dot is visible, and you can like hide it if you use the level, which is basically the opacity. So
like weighing flour, adding salt or baking the.
I want it to not be visible at the beginning. Then after the multi-merge node, I will just add a soft glow. This is of course way too strong. Let's decrease it a bit. But as you can see, it just adds a little bit of spice and makes everything look a bit nicer. Then let's go to all the texts and enable motion blur. Like this. And also on here.
Like weighing flour.
yeah, now it's struggling with the playback.
Like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake.
But you can see it looks pretty decent.
Or baking the cake. You can baking the cake.
And what we're gonna do now is just do the same thing we did with the last animation. We'll just slide it out of the frame. Maybe we will this time slide it to the bottom.
Or baking the cake. You can.
Yeah, let's slide it to the bottom, or slide it down and remove it like that. So let's add a transform node and
or baking the cake.
Let's create a keyframe.
You can connect them.
And another one. And have it go like this. And what we're also gonna do is add a rectangle. I'm not sure if this works. No, this is not what I expected. No, we will add a background node. Change the composition thing. And we will just merge it on this rectangle. And what this allows us is to like have the rectangle down here with a soft edge, as you can see, and then it will like create a nice fade out animation. So we can fully move it down there and it's gone. So
flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them to.
Yeah, you can see then we have this nice little gradient, which we will actually make even a bit stronger. Yeah. Right, let's also quickly make this a bit smoother. Which rectangle is this? Rectangle 2. Oh no, it's not the rectangle 2, it's the transform that we need to smoothen out. So
the cake. You can connect them together.
Yeah. Drag them out a little bit.
Cake. You can connect them to.
And while this is going down, let's have a merge node appear here. Then we create a line, then we have another merge node, a line, then a last merge node, which we will all animate so we have this node tree scheme. So let's start with the animation here. And let's add another merge node, or let's add the background node, and it will automatically create a merge node. Then we will switch it to white and again add a rectangle, and this should probably be as big as this. Does this fit the proportions of the nodes in Resolve? Not really sure. Yeah, doesn't matter. In the color page they probably look like this. So let's do the same thing we did before. Create this little node thing. So we will have this pop up. And yeah, right, let's actually replace it with a multi-merge so we can again do everything with one multi-merge. So we will have one of these, and this should like come up around here. So let's animate the level and make it 1, so it like
cake. You can connect them together.
Yeah, we will later make this a bit smoother in the spline editor. So what we're gonna do now is duplicate this, connect it again, drag it down, copy paste it again, connect it once again, drag it down one more time. And now we also want to add some connecting lines, and to do that we will just copy this background. Doesn't really matter, it just needs to be white, or I want it to be white. Then we will add a polygon and zoom in a bit and just like eyeball this line. Yeah, it's good enough. Not perfectly in the middle probably, but it does the job. So let's increase the border width. Oh, it's not connected, let's connect it first. Increase the border width. Copy paste it. Do the same thing, but this time let's drag it down here, and this is what we've got. So till here it's good, and now here we want to like reveal the first node, then animate this line, reveal the second node, animate this line, and then reveal the third node, and then also put numbers 1, 2, 3 into these nodes. So we will start with the line animation. For this we're just gonna animate the length like this. Then also at the start we will do the same thing with the level, so that this little dot is not visible. So
you can connect them to.
Yeah, it does not need to be smooth right now. It just needs to like do the job, and we will fix it later. So let's copy this polygon now that it's animated and drag it down again. And this is what we got. And what we basically need to do now is animate the timing of these nodes. So let's have this open here so that we can have a little overview view. This, and we will start with the rectangle 3, 1. That's the, oh no, this one we need, but we can disable all of this. So this should, it comes up, the line is animated, and probably around here we want the rectangle to appear. So
you can connect them together and
let's drag it out.
Connect them together and you can connect them together and
actually I also will make this start a bit earlier, because then it's
for baking the cake. You can connect them together and
it's a bit smoother. And right around here we want the second polygon to start. So let's quickly disable these ones. Then we don't need the polyline, we just need these two. Let's press F first. Make it a bit smaller. And then drag them, no, a bit like this. Let's turn it back on. Quick hack, you can like turn on something that is further away to get like a wider field of view for the keyframes, so you can move them around more easily. Oh, come on. This will start around here. Yeah, let's have it start a bit sooner.
you can connect them together and
now the level thing is obviously completely not timed correctly. But let's put this here and this one here.
Connect them together. You can connect them together.
Oh, what did I do now? Oh, I deleted the rectangle. That's not what I wanted. Yeah,
Connect them together.
This should obviously stay here. Let's grab the level and have it like this.
Connect them together and
this is probably where we want the last rectangle to appear. So rectangle here. Let's grab it, drag it over here. Yeah, all right, let's play it back once. Let's quickly close this and select this one so we can actually see the entire thing.
Like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them together and you can see exact cake. You can connect them together and you can see exact.
No, it's actually still not smooth enough for my taste, so let's make the levels a bit smoother so that
and you can see
so that the rectangles take a bit longer to blend in.
And you can see exact.
Yeah, this one looks nice now. Let's also do the same thing for this one. Extend the duration.
You can connect them together and
here it should start a bit earlier. It should not wait until the line is fully there.
You can connect them together. The cake. You can connect them together and you can see.
All right, now the last thing that is triggering me a bit is that this is not in the middle. That's not nice. Let's drag it a bit down. Let's also drag this rectangle down a little bit. And now it should look okay.
Salt or baking the cake. You can connect them together and you can see exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's not the perfect animation, but it's all right. You
can see exactly what.
And then once all of these are here, we will add the numbers. So let's add the animations, and for this we will create once again another multi-merge node. And now we will just, yeah, let's actually copy paste. No, let's not copy paste them. Let's just create new ones. Just put in one flash display, or let's even remove the dot. Increase the size. Put it up here.
Them together and you can see exactly what.
Keyframe it like this.
And you can see exactly what's happening.
No. Does this actually work like a opacity slider? No, it doesn't. Okay, let's reset this and add a brightness contrast thing where we can actually animate the opacity like this.
And you can see exactly what's.
Yeah,
see exactly what
looks way nicer. And this should not be merged, but the multi-merge, where we want to connect the different texts. So let's copy paste this, change the number to 2. Connect it as well. Drag it down. Do the same thing once again. Connect it, change the number to 3. Drag it down again. And here I'm not going to change it in the spline editor. I'm just gonna like manually change the keyframes again because it's a bit faster.
And you can see exactly what's happening.
1, 2, and then here we can get number 3. Let's remove these two. Here it's gonna be 0. Let's go a couple of frames forward. Go back and make it 0 and
together, and you can see exactly what's happening to your video step by step. Like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them together and you can see
yeah, looks pretty good. And what I'm actually just realizing is that we can remove the soft glow here and add it after here, so everything else will also get the glow effect. So
like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them together and you can see exactly what's happening to your video step by step. Like weighing flour.
Yeah, see, it's not the craziest animation, but it looks alright. So let's switch back to the edit page.
Video step by step. And this really...
And to be honest, these animations, they sometimes they are definitely worth the time because you can create like a cool hook, but it's also easy to waste a lot of time just animating and smoothing out keyframes. So yeah, just find the balance, and I personally enjoy this. I think it's fun, but so it's also sometimes you need to like limit yourself, because if you animate the whole video like this, you will not be able to post daily videos because it just takes way too much time, or you have to hire an extra editor to help you.
Video step by step. And this really makes complex effects more organized and easier to understand. Of course.
And here I talk about complex effects.
And this really makes complex effects more organized and easier to understand.
And here I might also just add a complex effect, which is this one, the icon float effect, or I have some other effects that were done in the Fusion. Actually, let's take this one, the number 14. Why? Because this is my best performing video to this day, and yeah, if it performed well, then it's probably an effect that people enjoy or like to see. So,
and this really makes complex effects more organized. And this really makes complex effects. And this really makes complex. And this really makes. And this really makes complex. And this really makes complex. And this really makes.
Why is it like having a little bump in there? What is that?
And this really makes
Is it dynamic zoom?
And this really makes complex effects more. And this really makes complex effects more. And this really makes complex effects.
Yeah, let's have this one, but let's also add another one. Which one? Let's add the floating icon effect, because that is insanely complicated. But it also looks pretty decent.
Complex effects more organized.
Yeah, but of course it can't like preview it because it's so complex. Come on, show me the clip. Yeah, okay, let's extend it like this. Have this go for like 2 seconds longer. Let's quickly disable this because yeah, the device is just, my laptop is just dying. So let's just imagine that this nice effect that is not even being previewed. Here you can see it is playing here. So yeah, but let's disable it because Davinci is just crying together with my laptop.
Of course, if you're just cutting clips together, cut a layer-based workspace is better. But the cool thing about Davinci is you get both. With layers for the basic things, layers and jump to nodes for the fancy stuff. Anyway.
So here in the end I talk about layers for the basic things and nodes for the fancy stuff. But I think we already have used most of the screenshots. And I mean, this is definitely nothing basic. And here I'm just gonna add like bold titles to show the difference between the use cases of nodes and layers. And then in the end,
anyway, that's it for day 7.
Always the standard outro, which we will again copy paste from my last video. Actually I will copy paste it from the second last video because here I had like the comment thing where you can comment and I will send you an asset, so it takes a bit longer. I think this is pretty similar regarding the timing. So let's copy paste this transition, the adjustment clip, and the sound effects, and paste them onto here. And yeah, the timing is pretty similar. Let's extend it and add the sound effects and move the sound effect to the end.
Anyway, that's it for day 70. Let me know which one you use and why you prefer it.
Alright, and now I think we also don't need Ratatouille anymore.
I used to think node-based editing
was... now we are going to add zooms. As you can see, this is still a bit boring for the first second. And because of that, I always use a little zoom in the beginning, which I've prepared here on an adjustment clip. And if we copy paste it in here, you can see that it's nothing crazy. It's just
I used to think
a simple zoom animation. But the smoothest way, or the way you can get the smoothest zooms, is to do it in the Fusion page, use a transform node, and then max out the motion blur, because you can see that it's like very motion blurry. If we turn it off, it's too sharp. If we turn the motion blur on, it looks way nicer. And then you can of course edit the curves here in the spline editor, which we're actually going to do because I want the zoom to fit the timing of this intro.
I used to think node-based.
You see, this has so much more energy than just.
I used to think node-based.
This is like boring compared to this.
I used to think node-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much faster and organized it made my entire.
All right. So here, of course, I'm not visible, so no zooming. Here we already have the zooming on the adjustment clip, which is already done from the last time.
Nodes can look super scary. Nodes can look super.
And here, or like for the quick sections, I will just enable the dynamic zooming. And if you turn on this dynamic zoom overview, you can see that it will zoom to the red rectangle. So we want to swap the directions to get the zoom in movement, and then make the rectangle bigger so that it's not as fast.
Nodes can look super.
Yeah, this was a bit too much. Let's make it like that.
Nodes can look super scary.
Yeah, nodes and then you get this
super scary at first. But really, they can make your editing life so much easier.
And here I'm just going to do the same thing. Enable zooming. Add or change the size of the rectangle.
But really, they can make your editing life so much easier. Think about it when you're editing.
And then here, just again, I mean, this just needs to have a bit of movement, and that's already enough.
Think about it when you're editing.
Or actually here, you can also use this trick of, instead of making the inner rectangle bigger, just make the outer rectangle smaller. So
think about it when you're editing, much easier. Think about
so you can kind of have this jump in instead of jump out movement.
Think about it when you're editing, layers pile up. You're adding effects, texts, graphics, it becomes a huge stack. And finding the right layer to change something is a pain.
Yeah, and here I want to emphasize the pain. So what I'm gonna do now is go into my power bin, and here I have this adjustment clip already prepared. And on this adjustment clip, you can see it's the same thing. It's just a transform node in the Fusion page, and the motion blur is already enabled, so I don't have to always do this manually. I can just go in here,
is a pain,
and then animate the size. So I want to highlight the pane, so I will create a keyframe, create another one, and also create one at the beginning. Then open the spline editor and increase this a little bit, the size, and then increase this a lot more. So we have
is a pain.
We have a very slight zooming already at the beginning.
It's a pain.
But then when I say pain, it like jumps onto my face, or like really zooms in. So
is a pain.
This is what it looks like.
Is a pain. But is a pain. But a pain. But nodes are different. You have pain. But
and then here I'm not gonna add a zoom. I'm just gonna increase the size, so we can, instead of like always zooming out after a zoom in a bit, so that it's not always the same.
But nodes are different. You have to think of.
And here I will again add a dynamic zoom. Same thing as always.
You have to think of them like a recipe. Each node is just one step, like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them together and you can see exactly what's happening to your video step by step. And this really makes complex effects more organized and easier to understand.
Here the clip will be, so no zooming needed.
Of course, if you're just cutting clips together, a layer together.
And here we will again add a manual zoom.
A layer together.
And until here I want a normal zoom in, where we just have a very slight zoom. And when I say, or when I, well, what do I say?
Together a layer.
When I say a layer, then I want it to quickly zoom out again. So this is what the graph looks like.
Of course, if you're just cutting clips together, a layer-based work.
See that it quickly zooms out.
Of course, if you're just cutting clips together, a layer-based workspace is better.
And then to have a zoom after the jump, let's increase this a little bit.
In clips together, a layer-based workspace.
Yeah, a bit more.
Workspace is better. Of course, if you're just cutting clips together, a layer-based workspace is better. But the workspace is.
Actually, let's also make another jump for the better, like this.
Is better. Of course.
So that it jumps in for the last word where I say better.
Based is better. Of course.
Not like this.
Better.
On.
Better. Workspace is better. Of course.
Like this.
This is better. Of course.
Even earlier.
This is better. Workspace is better. Of course.
Yeah.
Workspace is better. But the cool thing about Davinci is you get both. Edit.
And here we will again add a dynamic zoom. These dynamic zoom are just super easy to add.
But the cool thing about Davinci is
and they do like most of the job. So if you don't have the nerves to always get this super smooth zooms manually, just use the dynamic zooming, and it's like 80% of the job is done with way less time.
Both. Edit with layers for the basic things and jump.
And here again, just add dynamic zooming. Let's do it like this.
Jump both. Edit with layers for the basic things.
Like this.
Get both. Edit with layers for the basic things and jump to nodes for the fancy stuff. Anyway, that's it for day 70.
Alright, and
let me know which one you use.
You can see here, I also already have this.
For day 70, let me know which one you use.
This zoom in. This should always be a bit sooner. So I wanted to zoom in when I say the call to action. Here it's the let me know.
Anyway, that's it for day 70. Let me know.
Yeah, now it's a bit too early.
Anyway, that's it for day 70. Let me know which one you.
Yeah, like this is good. And also I will always add the animation of the day at the end, just to remind people that this is a series and that it's worth following.
Why you prefer it.
And then that's the outro. So
anyway, that's it for day 70. Let me know which one you use and why.
Yeah, it's also a bit laggy because of the animation, because there's again way too much motion blur applied, but in the end it will look nice.
I used to think node-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow. This is day 70 of the 100.
Yeah. So now the only two things that are left are text and subtitles, and of course sound design. So let's first start with the text.
I used to think,
and here I've just recently tried out some new stuff where I use these
as a video creator,
this blur fade in animated
many days
text or sentence, like parts of sentences. So I will just stick with these for today.
I used to
yeah, that's actually not a nice one.
As a video creator, there will be many days where you spend more time. Video creator,
Let's grab this one. And what this basically is just a normal text plus node. Then I have a Gaussian blur, which is like starting very blurry and then is like reduced to 0. And at the same time I fade in the text. So this is what it looks with the blur, and this is what the final thing looks like.
I used to think.
So here I will just use or put in I used to. And then think is a new one. I used to think, and we will position it like this, make it a bit bigger.
I used to think no.
Okay, yeah, this is a bit too big. And one quick but very effective tip for text is to go here and enable this center thing, so you can position your text correctly. And also, if you have edited a couple of videos, you will know where your subtitles are, and this cross will help you to line the text up so that it will later work together with the subtitles.
I used to think
this also a bit big.
I used to think no.
And here we will just cut it and add this this flicker transition, which I already used, or which I basically use in all of my videos, and I just copy paste it always from the last time, so it's very easy to reuse.
I used to think node-based editing was.
And here we continue with the was just. Was just.
editing was editing was just editing editing was just for editing was just for
and here we add the 4 was just for
Hollywood, just for
Hollywood. Let's make this caps because
Hollywood magician.
Hollywood, and then magicians.
Magician.
Let's move this one a bit to the left and this one to the right.
Until I realized how much I used to think node-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians. Until I realized
and here just same thing. Have until I realized
how much
how much
I realized how much fast
let's put it in the center.
I realized how much fast
and here I will put the faster in caps, faster. Then I will make a separate one for this and logo. No, how do you create it like this? And how much faster and no, this looks how can we
faster and
let's put it like this and organized goes down here. So let's
realized how much faster and organized it made.
You see, this is just a lot of repositioning, not crazy advanced thing. But I mean, this looks.
I used to think node-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians
decent,
until
so
I realized
this might be worth more or help you more with the performance of your content than like buying an expensive camera or whatever, because it's just putting in the work.
it made my
entire, let's make it a bit bigger. No, let's actually make it a bit smaller. My entire, and then we have one last big thing, which is workflow. And we reset this, put it down.
Made my entire workflow
like this.
My entire workflow. My entire.
Yeah, let's move it down a bit.
Made my.
This one also, so
my entire workflow.
So it matches with the workflow in the.
This is day 70 on the day.
All right, and I just do this for the beginning because doing this for the entire video will take way too long. And as I said already in the beginning, I think that the people who are still watching the video here, they are like more dedicated and want to learn it. So for them, it's not so important to have the crazy editing and titles throughout the entire video. So mic's still going. I'm still a bit scared that the recording will stop because this is the first time I'm doing it, but yeah.
Notes can look super scary at first. Notes can look super
scary.
And here
I'm actually just gonna faded in.
Looks super scary, looks super scary, looks super scary, can look super scary at first.
Yeah, now I will just like sprinkle in some let's say fancy titles, let's call them like that. Super
scary. Super scary at first, but really they can make your editing life so much easier. Think about it, when you're editing, layers pile up. You're adding effects, texts, graphics, it becomes a huge stack. And finding the right layer to change something is a pain.
And here we will also just highlight
the
pain again. Oops. Pain. Reset it, move it down a bit.
A pain. But nodes are different. But nodes are different. You have to think of them like a recipe.
And here I will not fade it in, but just copy this flicker fill burn transition.
A recipe. Each node is
and here I will add the word recipe.
A recipe. Each node is just one step, like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them together and you flour, adding salt, or baking the cake.
Actually, I know I said this animation is done, but I think we can make it even a little bit nicer if we add a camera shake. So that we also here have a little bit of extra movement. Because now it's
like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the cake. You can connect them together. Flour, adding salt, or
like this.
Adding salt or baking the cake. You can or adding salt or baking the cake.
The speed should not be too much.
You can connect them together and you can see exactly what's happening to your video step by step.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not waste too much time, but
adding salt or
nice little detail. So
step. And this really makes complex effects more organized and easier to understand. Of course, if you're just cutting clips together, a layer-based workspace is better.
And here I will add the is better.
Workspace
is better. Like this.
Based is better. But the cool thing about Davinci is you get both.
And here I will just write you get. And then both. Yes, like this. Make this a bit smaller. Yeah, I don't have a specific rule, I just eyeball it, and if it looks good,
you get both. Edit with
and if it doesn't, I change it. So
you get both. Edit.
Yeah, this does not look good. Maybe like this.
You get both. Edit with layers for the basic things and jump to nodes for the fancy stuff. Anyway, that's it for day 70. Let me know which one you use and why.
And this is usually a bit bigger. Let's make it like 0.7.
You prefer it. I used to think node-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow.
Yeah, so it's not playing back smoothly. But the only thing left now is that we got some sound effects, and here I'm also just experimenting always a bit. Sometimes I've used like crazy amounts of like impacts and whooshes in the beginning.
You can do 90%
in the beginning.
You can do 90%.
And I actually always change it a bit, so I copy some of the effects and then the other day I copy less. But let's copy this impact and this whoosh sound and just paste it at the beginning.
I used to think
and today I feel like the impact needs to be a bit louder and the whoosh a bit less loud.
I used to think note-based editing.
You see, and it's just like, it's a bit kind of, I don't know, catches you, or yeah, just resets your brain when you're scrolling and like tells you, okay, you need to watch now. And my camera is running low. Wait, I need to get my power bank and plug it in. And the camera was at 1%, so all right, let's finish it.
I used to think note-based editing was just for Hollywood.
And
I used to think
other effects I usually use in the beginning are some
note-based editing,
some clicks and risers and whatever. So I know that this effect is a mouse click, which I will, oh no, didn't copy it, which I will just copy here for the note-based text animation.
I used to think note-based editing note-based editing was just for Hollywood.
And then here I will want to add some whoosh sounds. I have downloaded some which I always reuse, and yeah, just pick whatever I feel like the day I edit the video.
Note-based editing.
Way too early.
Based editing was just.
Still too early.
Editing was just for Hollywood.
Yeah, better. Let's make it a bit quieter.
Editing was just for Hollywood. Was just for.
And then let's copy paste it and make it a bit deeper.
Was just for Hollywood magic.
You see, then it's like a very easy trick to make the sound effects sound a bit different, even though it's the exact same sound effect.
It was just for Hollywood magicians. For Hollywood magicians. And for Hollywood.
And I just realized that this text should be there way earlier.
For Hollywood magicians.
Like this.
Editing was just for Hollywood magicians. Until I. Just for Hollywood magicians. Just for Hollywood magicians. Hollywood magicians. Until.
Yeah. Then also let's copy the click for the Hollywood to highlight that.
For Hollywood Hollywood magicians. Until I realized how much faster and
I will also add a riser here, because it's like the most used sound effect on social media, because it just works.
Just for Hollywood magicians. Until I.
And then I will copy paste the impact, so that once the riser like hits,
until I realize
it, like, okay, the camera was just about to turn off again, so please stay alive, keep recording, we're nearly done.
Until I realized.
And I will also copy the click sound again, so
until I realize.
Yeah, so that it kind of creates this little transition. And we can actually also copy paste this flicker transition.
Until I realized how much faster.
Yeah.
Until I realized how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow. This is day 70.
And here it's a bit empty, but a very easy trick to create like a long riser is to copy paste an impact, then go to speed change and reverse it, and then you have like this
how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow. This is day 70.
Super long riser, which works well for like a longer build up.
I used to think note-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much faster and realized how much faster.
And here I we also need some kind of transition. Can we just maybe flip it?
Realized how much faster and
yeah, I might be overusing them, but
realized how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow. This is day 70 of the 100-day editing school. Notes can look super scary at first, but really they can make your editing life so much easier.
Oh, and here
editing life,
I forgot the text.
Life so
much.
Life so
much easier. You see, towards the end,
so much easier.
It kind of gets messy.
Think so much easier.
Or becomes like just an error fixing task. But yeah, you see, if I left this space empty, it would be like.
But really, they can make your editing life so much easier.
Quite a long
Think
period
about it.
to have nothing being shown to the viewer.
When you're editing, layers pile up. You're adding effects, texts, graphics.
And here, let's add more click sounds.
You're adding effects,
text.
Adding effects, texts, graphics. It becomes a huge stack, and finding the right layer to change something is a pain. But notes are different. You have to think of them like a recipe. Each note is just one step, like weighing flour, adding salt, or baking the... Anyway, that's it for this.
Yeah, as I said,
but the cool thing about
in the video or at the end of the video, I don't really care about sound design, because you can see how much time we spent editing this part and how much we spent editing this part. So yeah, that's basically it. The last step now is to add subtitles, which we will do under timeline, create subtitles, then add 3 characters per line, hit create, and then I will just remove all the subtitles that we already have here in the beginning, because yeah, we don't need any of this stuff right here. And for the style, I have my preset, which is called Clash Display. Just go to load preset, and then wait, I'll change it back so you can see it. Go to Clash Display, load preset, and then it will like just apply this preset which I created and then saved here as a preset. So
this is day 70.
Usually I remove the subtitles here at the intro as well.
This is day 70 of the 100-day editing school. Notes can look
and then here we will just remove the parts that we already made manually.
Can look super scary at first, but really they can make your
so this also needs to
be life so much easier. Think about it, when you're editing, layers pile up.
And
pain,
here also
but no
pain.
It's a pain. But notes are different.
Then here recipe.
Like a recipe. Each note is just one step.
Here it's
spaced is better. But
and it's actually not in the center, right? Yeah, it's not. No, it is.
The cool thing is
I'm stupid.
Better. But the cool thing is you get both.
You get both.
Edit with layers for the basic things and jump to notes for the fancy stuff. Anyway, that's it for 70. Let me know which one you use and why you prefer it. I used to think note-based editing was just for Hollywood magicians, until I realized how much faster and organized it made my entire workflow. This is day 70 of the 100-day editing school. Notes can look super scary at first, but really they can make your editing life so much easier. Think about it, when you're editing, layers.
Alright, yeah, I think that's basically it. Now I will just enable this crazy effect which we did not have before, so that it's going to be rendered. And for the render I don't have any crazy settings. I just have this ready videos folder where I have all of my stuff. Then I leave everything right here. Timeline resolution, as I said in the beginning, is 1080p. The one thing that is important to check is that your export subtitle settings are set to burn into video, because else you will get the subtitles as a separate file and they will not be shown or burnt into the video. So turn this on, then add to render queue, and let's render it. Alright, so the video is done. I will put it up on the screen here so you can see a final snippet out of it, and of course you can find the full video on all of the short form platforms as always. And if you have any feedback or questions, please let me know in the comments or write me a DM on Instagram, and I will hopefully see you soon for the next YouTube video. Subscribe, like, comment, all the YouTube stuff, you know. And thank you.